Bill, welcome to the February 18th Village Board Legislative Session. This meeting is called to order. We'll begin by standing for the pledge.
And to the republic for which is one nation. Trustee Durao? Trustee Herrera?
Present.
Trustee Codman?
Present.
Trustee Quezada?
Present.
And Mayor Garrity?
Present.
We have this evening a public hearing in the matter of curb and or sidewalk work for the year 2014. Is there anyone who has come to address the board on this? On the agenda. Yes, so I need that back. Is there anyone who'd like to speak on this issue? Then have a motion to close this public hearing?
So moved. Second.
On the board, Madam Clerk.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? On to mayors and trustees announcements.
Thank you. There's one item that I'd like to speak to about procedure, and then I have a couple of organizational announcements. There are 3 opportunities for the public to speak during our legislative sessions, which they happen the first and third Wednesday of every month, right down here at the courthouse. There are 2 minutes near the beginning of each meeting where if you have a program or an organization that you're involved with and you have something you'd like to let the public know about, an upcoming event, then you have 2 minutes where you can speak about your organizational announcement. And I know that all of us here on the board are united in our desire to see more community members attending meeting and being engaged in village government. And so I'm going to suggest that we try something out, that if you are here with us representing more than one group that you'd like to make an announcement about, that we allow you up to 2 minutes to make your announcement. It may only take 20 seconds to say, hey, we've got this great event going on, this is when it is, this is where it is, this is why we hope you'd all join us. But then allow us to know that you're going to make a second announcement about a different group, and we can reset the shot clock for that next announcement, which would allow for the public to hear about all the great things that are happening without and encourage more people to come and speak to us at public meetings. That said, we always reserve the right to limit the number of announcements if there are an inordinate amount of people or we're short of time. So we'll see if that comes to pass this evening, but please do join us. The other opportunities to speak at public meetings are if there's an item on the agenda, you have up to 4 minutes to speak to any items on the agenda, and then at the end of the meeting we will invite visitors to comment about anything of relevance to the general community. So I have 2 organizational announcements that I'd like to make. The first is an opportunity to join us on March 12th for the Ossining Documentary and Discussion Series. Our film on March 12th will be Mercedes Sosa, The Voice of Latin America. I hope that you can come out. It's a Thursday evening at the Ossining Public Library. The program begins... This one actually begins a little bit early because we have a musical performance by the Raging Grannies. If you've ever heard of them, they're a local group of women who write political activism songs that will sound somewhat familiar to you because they borrow songs from pop culture. So I hope that you will join us beginning at 6:15, and then the program, as always, officially begins at 6:30, where we'll watch the movie Mercedes Sosa, The Voice of Latin America, followed by a terrific panel discussion. And that's Thursday, March 12th. And then also, I was asked by the Hudson Valley Beekeepers to let folks know, you may be aware that last year the Village of Ossining passed beekeeping registration laws, which allows for beekeeping within the village. If you're interested in learning more about that, you can go to the villageofossining.org and learn about it. And if you think that you are interested in beekeeping or just understanding more about it, there's a program happening Saturday, February 28th from 10:30 in the morning to 12:30 p.m. at the Yorktown Grange, which is at 99 Mosaman Road in Yorktown Heights, and the cost is $10 per family. You can learn more about it at honeybeelives.org, or there's a Facebook page for the Hudson Valley Natural Beekeepers. Anyone else?
Yeah. Coast Guard Auxiliary on Saturday, March 21st from 9 to 5 is running the boating safety course. It's the New York State course that people are required to have now, and costs $40. It's at the Ossining Boat and Canoe Club, which is at Lewis Engle Waterfront Park on Westerly Road. You drive down past the train station, stop before your car goes in the water, park, and go into Brown Building. For more information, email Karen Caldwell at drkcaldwell@AOL.com. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes. I will be hosting office hours tomorrow at Ossining Village Hall at 16 Croton Avenue from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. All are welcomed if you're unable to attend, but you want a chance to speak and express your thoughts, ideas, and concerns, you could email me at herrera@villageofossining.org, or you could send me a text or a message at omarjherrera.com. Also, I'm in the process of seeking Ossining residents to help me plan a new event called Vamos a Hablar. It's a community meeting in Spanish that will be starting a series for the next 2 to 4 years. And it's really a non-official forum where people will be able to link up with other organizations and safety net opportunities here in Ossining County and state. And right now, a date is not planned for the kickoff, but all you have to do is call our village number and express that you're interested, and just say your name and your telephone number, or you could email me also at the village. And just a reminder to shop local and pick up a free color map of Ossining businesses at the Greater Ossining Chamber of Commerce, which is at 2 Church Street, Suite 205.
Your meeting tomorrow, that's going to be held in the McKinley Room?
Yes, in the trustee office.
No, it's McKinley Room. Because we have a staff meeting tomorrow in the...
Yes, in the McKinley Room. It is now. Yes, I spoke to Ms. Fapes about that, and I said that I would move on those dates.
Okay.
Thanks for the reminder.
Thank you.
Any more announcements? We'll move on to administrative reports, and we'll begin with Village Manager Richard Lyons.
Thank you. I just wanted to comment on a couple of the items on the agenda this evening. Resolution E is with respect to Charles Manganaro, Consulting Engineers. The village periodically goes through a process of cleaning and cement lining different water mains within the village in order to keep them up to snuff. And so this would be the next phase of that project, which would affect the streets that are listed in the resolution. And it engages the engineering firm to oversee the construction management on those particular streets, which is work anticipated for later this year. The other item I want to mention is Resolution G. This is the access control system, and that's with respect to this building that we're in as we speak, the police court facility. This is to upgrade the security system, the door entry system, which is as old as the building and is in need of updating and enhancements. So that will make the facility that much more secure. And those are the two items I wanted to speak on this evening. Thank you.
Corporation Counsel Laura Lee Dixon.
I just wanted to remind the board and members of the public that this evening you're calling for a public hearing on an introductory local law number 1, which is a revision to your code, and it's relevant to the village's enforcement of the New York State Uniform Codes due to some recent litigation that called into question the ability of local municipalities in the absence of Secretary of State promulgated regulations. Now that there's been emergency rulemaking in Albany, the village has to move forward and adopt the timeframes that are set forth in that emergency rulemaking. So this will close the gap and makes those same timeframes then relevant to the enforcement. As you know, the village many years ago adopted the uniform codes, state uniform codes, and took on the process of enforcement. So this just assists the building department. So you'll be holding that public hearing on March 4th as the first item on your agenda that evening. And then you can proceed to thereafter deliberate at a work session, and then the earliest of the vote would be March 18th. So that's on your agenda. There's a lengthy resolution on for Complete Streets, but I suspect that Mayor Garrity will be discussing at length the Complete Streets resolution when the board has an opportunity to have that discussion. So I won't steal that thunder except to say that Valerie and I have collaborated, and this provides the opportunity for the village to take a closer look for the streets to accommodate all users and all modes of travel. So hopefully moving forward, we'll have an opportunity to pay specific attention to the items on the resolution. So thank you for that opportunity.
Thank you.
Village Engineer Paul Frioli.
Good evening, Mayor and Board.
Good evening.
First item I'd like to discuss is the public hearing that is now closed. Only included 2 residential parcels which had sidewalk assessment work done in front of their house. This public hearing really gives them the opportunity to come in and comment or any of the work. Didn't assume any. We actually spoke with both those homeowners well in advance of the public hearing process, satisfied with the work, and that will come in as a revenue stream. This hearing is closed. We'll send out the appropriate bills. I guess the big thing on everybody's mind over the last month has been weather. It's been a little taxing on us. However, I would like to say in summary, the logistics associated with storms so repetitive as these have gone relatively well. Some of the public knows, some may not know, although it's typically viewed as a Department of Public Works response and event. It is surely not that. It is a collaborative effort when a storm hits, particularly a snowstorm of the significance that we've had over the last month between first responders and the Recreation Department and other departments in public work other than the highway to develop the appropriate response to tackle the storms the way we have. So to that end, I'd like to thank all those departments for their assistance. I think it's gone pretty well. From a financial perspective, we were covering this a little earlier in our OEM meeting this evening. We are still in the black on all our lines. We haven't exceeded any overtime lines or our materials lines or equipment repair lines. But as every other year, God kind of dictates that budget. So revisit it again mid-year, as we always do with the manager's office, and we'll see where we are at the end of the year. I think I mentioned some of this last time, so if I'm repeating myself, excuse me. This time of year, we usually do a lot of our 2014 administrative filings. Some of the ones that we've accomplished in the office in the last month have been our DEC application, make the village part of a new alert system that they're undertaking for stormwater and sanitary sewage discharge. We've made our application to the county health department for our pump station, sanitary sewer pump station, and sanitary sewer collection systems. And lastly, we've made our application for our annual solid waste report to the Westchester County Department of Environmental Facilities. That report, as I think you all know, summarizes our solid waste collection and recycling efforts as a whole for the village. It's only our draft submittal, so it still needs to be approved after they review all our numbers. But due to the significant work that we did on Pleasantville Road, which included the milling of the road and turning that material into recyclable, reclaimable, road-based material, that's a significant weight. And I think for the first time, at least in my tenure, the village is going to easily exceed 60% of all solid waste produced is going to be recycled in some capacity. So that's a good thing. But I'm going to hone in on that number a little more with the Department of Environmental Facilities. And once they bless it and make it official, I'll report on that again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Paul.
Sorry?
Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you for your hard work.
Fire Chief Matt Scarduzio. For a moment.
Yeah. Good evening, Mayor, members of the board.
Good evening.
Year to date, the report, the Austin Fire Department has responded to 86 alarms. I just want to touch on a couple alarms that we've had. One of them's kind of disturbing to me, as well as talking to some of the members of the board, and I just want to make the public aware. On January 31st, the Austin Police Department and OVAC were dispatched to a residence on Croton Avenue for a medical aid. As OVAC entered the house, there are CO meters that are attached to the medical bags were alerted. At that time, the fire department was dispatched to the said location. As the FD personnel entered the house, the meters went into alert at the front door with readings of 200 parts per million. As personnel entered further into the house, the fire department meters were bottomed out. The levels were so high we couldn't even take readings anymore. The cause of the CO was from a boiler that was malfunctioning. This incident sent 12 victims to the hospital. That's including children, adults, and actually 2 police officers. This incident could have been avoided if proper detection was installed in the house. There was none whatsoever, so it put everybody at harm's way. If this certain individual didn't get sick that evening, this incident definitely would have resulted in death. We had victims in that house the next morning. So we, as the fire department, we stress to our residents to please have proper detection in your house for the safety of your own well-being. As well, it is the law as well. So please keep it safe. Also, on February 2nd, the Austin Fire Department was dispatched to 13 Market Street for a reported structure fire. Upon arrival, heavy smoke was shown from the structure with an active basement fire. Fire department units were able to bring the fire under control within 15 minutes of the first units arriving on scene. No injuries were reported. And we got good news as of right now. Our new piece of apparatus is supposed to be delivered tomorrow, finally, between 10 and 10:30. Hopefully we will see it sitting on Waller Avenue.
Wow.
Thank you very much on that. And just to touch real quick with all the snow and everything that we have been having, if our residents could just help the fire department out, help the water department out, DPW, everybody adopt a hydrant that's in your neighborhood. If you see one that's buried, please clean it out, because you never know when we're going to need it. Hopefully we don't need them, but if we do, please help us out and make them accessible for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Chief Scarduzio, some folks, if you haven't bought your home recently, may not even have CO detectors in their home, because it became a regulation in somewhat recent years.
Right.
So people can go to any hardware store, buy a CO
Hardware
detector.
has them. Melrose, your Home Depots, they have them. They save lives. Like I said, this could have been a tragedy.
And ideally, maybe Inspector Scirocco can speak to this later, but ideally I think there should be one on every floor of the house. Or maybe, Al, when you speak, maybe you can give us some guidelines on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Move on to Superintendent of Water and Sewers, Andrew Teese.
Good evening, Mayor and Board.
Good evening.
Evening.
The Indian Brook Reservoir is at 98%. Last month it was 99%. Last month we were purchasing 65% water. This month we're purchasing 75%. The streams that are feeding the reservoir are freezing up, and we see our safe yield going down in the reservoir, not drastically, but enough that there's a space in the ice between the top of the water and the ice. We don't want to let it get too much of a space where it will crash down, block our spillway. So we're purchasing a little bit more water off New York City. Our alternative water source study with Hazen and Sawyer engineers. Last week, the village manager, village planner, village engineer, and myself met with our consulting engineers, Hazen and Sawyer, and also New York City's water quality officials to discuss the village's future water capacity needs, along with efforts for future funding from New York City with their water conservation program. We're looking to have all the parties that I just mentioned meet with the Board of Trustees in a work session anticipated in the end of March.
Okay.
So it's that's moving forward. The village manager mentioned the resolution for Manganaro Engineering. Some of the streets I'm just going to list that are going to be in that project are the first two are add alternates, which means the village has the right to add them later on above the base bid. Hunter Street, James Street, and then in the base bid it'll be Secor Road, Barlow Lane, Tompkins Avenue, Eastern Avenue, Elizabeth Street, Prospect Place, Churchill Street, and Walden Road. Thank you.
Thank you.
Treasurer Thomas Warren.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the Board of Trustees. We are very busy in the Finance Department this time of year, closing the 2014 accounting records and getting another fiscal year underway. We'll be submitting budget modifications in March to close some capital projects and to transfer budget appropriations between accounts in anticipation of the 2014 fiscal year audit, which will be conducted during the first 2 weeks of April. Our first installment of property tax collections for 2015 were typically strong. As of mid-February, we had collected 50.3% of the entire 2015 tax warrant, plus approximately $53,000 of prior year taxes. We are, however, continuing our tax collection efforts and have sent out a reminder letter to all taxpayers that have an unpaid first installment, as well as continue our efforts to collect prior year taxes. Taxpayers with unpaid questions or unpaid taxes are encouraged to call the Finance Department at 941-2581 or stop by our office at 16 Croton Avenue between 9:30 and 4:30 on the second floor. The fourth quarter 2014 sales tax distribution payment in the amount of $925,139 arrived earlier this month, which was 3.46% more than the fourth quarter 2013 amount. For the year, the total sales tax revenue amounts is $3,648,964, which is about $149,000 more than what was budgeted for the year, and overall is about 3.5% more than the total for the 2013 total sales tax distribution amount. And we are also on another topic in discussions with the town to enforce the unpaid water rents on those properties that are outside the village but located within the town, similar to what we do on the village level. We petitioned the town to add those amounts onto the April town and county tax warrant. Right now the amount is about $70,800 that we're collecting until the end of February before we give the certified list to the town. And finally, I want to thank the board for the support and anticipated vote tonight on the resolution for the electronic banking services and for courier services. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Superintendent of Parks and Recreations, Christopher Soy.
Hello, Christopher.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. This is my first official administrative report, so I'm excited about that.
We are too.
This past month obviously had its challenges with the winter weather. From the program side of things, our winter programs are in full swing. We did have some days of cancellations that were necessary with programs requiring makeups that will be made. However, the center did open for operation on all its standard operating hours during the entirety of all the storms. We did have open gym, open game room, and open pool accessible on some of those snowed in type days. We are currently in full swing and planning for the spring and summer programming. Camp planning and camp program planning is up and running as well. From the facility and park side of things, the parks crew was working hard, and as Paul mentioned, in conjunction with other departments in clearing and making the sidewalks and parking lots and walkways safe. Special event this past Friday, I did have the opportunity and the pleasure to be part of the Senior Citizens Valentine's Day party that was held at the community center in the gym. Members of the board were also present, and that was hosted by the Ossining High School National Honor Society and the Cultural Arts Department. So that was a really nice event to be part of. Planning is also in full swing for the Easter extravaganza, which is right now scheduled for Saturday, March 28th, and details will follow. And this week we did partner with Ossining Rotary for the Ossining Family Fun Night at the Westchester Knicks game. That is this Friday, February 20th. So we still have tickets available. We are giving away free tickets we're trying the first 100 children that are registered for the event are free, and there are still tickets available, and you can do that and register at the community center.
And is that registration, it has an end time, right, by the end of the week, I think?
Well, the game is this Friday. So we're we don't want to turn anybody away, so we'll try to take you to the last minute as we can, but while supplies last. So hopefully we'll have everyone, and buses will leave. Transportation is provided, and buses will leave the community center at 5:30 on Friday.
Great.
Chris, I just wanted to know, do you know when the camp registration is going to begin online, and then?
I don't have that specific date.
Okay.
I think we're still hashing out the exact date that's going to be underway, but it'll be adequately promoted and shared. And we do have the Facebook page, the Ossining Recreation and Parks Facebook page, that we're also is a good resource for our information.
Great, thank you very much.
Village Planner Valerie Manastra.
So I'm going to talk first about some of the larger development projects and approval updates. Hudson Step, the project had its finals approvals in January by the planning board. So this project will include 189 residential units, 7,500 square feet of office space. It will also include infrastructure improvements, historic preservation, the Smith Robinson House, 10% affordable housing, and the project will be green buildings. And it's anticipated to be on the level of Gold LEED certification. And and I also just wanted to make note of following up with Andy's report. So as he talked about that some of the, with Charles Maganera dealing with the bid process, he specifically highlighted that there would be a bid alt for both Hunter and James Street. And as part of the negotiations with the developer, they're most likely going to be part of our bid process. So that, therefore, instead of them actually undertaking the work, that they will fund the village for the work that needs to take place on Hunter and James Street. So that's why the two will be sectioned out, and that's all going to be enumerated in the resolution that we're adopting next week. For Victoria Home, the applicant proposes to reconstruct their facilities and create a facility for 120 beds. A draft EIS was submitted to the planning board, and it's under review with the planning board, and we're anticipating having public hearings on the draft environmental impact statement probably either in March or April. Also, the planning board and board of architectural review have reviewed 4 new applications so far this year. The zoning board of appeals has reviewed 2 new applications. The historic preservation commission is working on 2 new applications, and it's continuing its work on the historic signage walking tour. We're still working on finalizing some of the photographs and the photo blurbs, and I'm still waiting on a few more license agreements for that project. So I also wanted to touch upon a few projects that are also taking place. The green buildings regulations. The village will be commencing work on creating green building codes. I'm in the process of working with the assistant village manager to advertise for community members who are interested in working on a committee. So we anticipate starting to advertise that probably within the next week or so. And I've also reached out to all the land use board members, asking them for a member who will be on the committee as well. So I hope to have the committee created and established by April. Market Square post office lots, the village has engaged Mind Mixer, and we will be starting public outreach process for the redevelopment of Market Square and post office lots. And I'm in the process of communicating with other stakeholders on questions that they might want to contribute to Mind Mixer as well, and we anticipate having that ready to go beginning of March. Also, the Department of State dock grant. I'm working on a contract with Ed Weinstein Architecture and Planning for their services in the design, engineering, and permitting of a public dock. And again, we will reach out to stakeholders and have public input on the dock design. Also, I wanted to touch base a little bit on the Harbor Square project. As you know, that there's a lot of work that's taking place down there, but there's also a number of site plan and infrastructure projects related to this particular development. So we had internal meetings and discussions with Corporation Counsel, Village Engineer, and Building Inspector, which resulted in a to-do checklist. We've engaged on the village's behalf a consultant who's being paid by escrow to help us make sure all the components of this project are executed in a timely manner. The different projects include improvements on Westerly Road, water main replacement on Snowden Avenue, the Park Promenade installation, land dedication to the village, execution of the 2006 Metro North Agreement, restaurant construction timing, flood permit, and stormwater permit management. So it is quite an extensive list, and there's a lot of moving parts. So we have coordinated that, and we're going to start moving forward, making sure that all those different elements are also moving forward as well as the construction of the building. And Harbor Square will be back before the village board in March to update the board on the various components of the site plan as well. And then finally, CDBG projects funding through the county and the state will enable the village to probably move forward with some of the stalled CDBG projects. And I'll be back before this board in an upcoming work session to discuss the projects and the programs at the county and state level.
That's a lot. Thank you.
Yeah.
Director of Personnel, Linda McMahon.
Good evening, Mayor and Board of Trustees.
Good evening.
Next week, I'll be walking through, conducting our annual risk assessment. Myself, a representative of the CSEA, as well as a representative from the village's risk liability insurance carrier, is going to go from one workplace area to the next, seeking input from our employees as well as his own observations of any conditions that need or would suggest improvement. And as part of that walkthrough, we do encourage employees to give us their feedback if they have any concerns with their safety in the workplace. And again, that's a requirement under the Workplace Violence Protection Program. And we're also continuing our scheduling of ongoing training, which will probably begin in March. It has been a challenge. We had some training scheduled. Of course, there's been snowstorms, so we've had to reschedule, but we'll get through it. And we believe most of it will start in March. Thank you.
Thank you.
Director of Code Enforcement, Al Sirocco.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the board.
Evening.
Just to add on to what Chief Scarduzio was saying before I get to my activity report, smokes and carbons are required by New York State Code, Property Maintenance Code, which is a retroactive code. So that means that there is no grandfathering. This is required by everyone. Of course, there's different applications depending if you're one family, two family, multifamily, and also if you have a carbon source, which means if you have gas, natural gas, or propane gas or oil, that is a carbon source. So you would be required. We'd be more than happy if you'd like to call the building department at 941-3199. We can make copies, give you the code, and walk you through it because it's a little sketchy. I mean, it jumps all over the place, the code, so we can help you out to decipher it. But basically, for a one-family residence, you would need a smoke alarm in each bedroom, a smoke alarm directly outside your bedrooms, and a carbon alarm within 15 feet of all your bedrooms. And also in the basement where the carbon source is, you would need a smoke and carbon alarm. And that's the basic. for one family. So please give us a call if you have any questions. It is a life safety issue, and it is mandatory. Now getting to the activity report.
Excuse me, Al.
Sure.
And in regards to the one family, just as an example, do they have to be hardwired or they can be battery
Good question. If they're removing any sheetrock off the ceiling or walls, they do have to be hardwired by code and interconnected. Okay. If you're doing no work, actually it's a requirement for every building permit that is pulled that we do a smoke and carbon alarm inspection. We do it with our final inspection, and we help you out there. We state where it has to be pointed out to you. But yes, it does not have to be hardwired if there's no work going on in the house. It can be battery operated by code. Good question. Thank you.
This also applies to all apartments too, correct?
Yes, sir. Where a carbon source is. I mean, we have had some areas that have all electric. There's no carbon source, so it's not required by code. Okay. Just getting to activity report. For the month of January, we had 35 new complaints. Breaking them down, we had 1 backflow, 1 construction site, 7 construction without building permit. We had 2 garbage, 7 heat, 1 illegal discharge, 3 overcrowded living spaces. We had 7 property maintenance issues, 1 sewage, and 5 site plan violations. We were able to close 55 complaints this month. Notice of violations, we had 8 with 23 counts. 1 was for backflow, construction without a building permit were 5, and we had 2 heat violations. Notice of violations, actually, it's the first month, so let's go to court appearance tickets. Issued were 9 with 21 counts. We had 2 backflow, 3 construction without a building permit, 1 heat, 1 illegal discharge, 1 overcrowded living spaces, and 1 property maintenance issue. Court fines assessed this month was $150. We had 7 new building permits, fee totaling $2,715. Certificates of occupancy, we had 31. Final cost affidavits, $1,032. We had 14 plumbing permits, fee totaling $1,035. We had 14 electrical permits, fee totaling $1,244. We had 8 backflow permits, which fee totaling of $800. 1 tree permit, $80. We had 1 sign permit, fee totaling $60. We had 1 predate inspection, that was $100. We had 15 searches, total $1,550. We had 18 foils that were completed. Overnight parking inspections, we had 141 this month. We had 8 Section 8 inspections. We had 13 fire assembly inspections. We had 193 building and plumbing inspections. Plan reviews completed for building, plumbing, electrical, predate, backflow, tree, and sign permits. We had 18 reviews. And that's it with the activity report. And I just had that reminder that I'd like to point out to all property owners that they are required by code to provide all their tenants with a minimum temperature of 68 degrees at all times from September 15th through May 31st of every year. Please, if you have a heat complaint, call the building department at 941-3199 during office hours, which are Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And if after hours, please call the police department at 941-4099. That'll do it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move on to organizational announcements. Is there anyone who has any this evening?
Village related. My name is Dana White. I'm the Austin Village historian. And I would like to thank you, Mayor and Board, for providing this forum where we can tell the community some of the things that are going on. The Village Historian's Office is embarking on a project tentatively called Memories of Maine, A History of Downtown Ossining. This will be a project that tries to describe the history of Main Street and the other streets from the 19th century to the urban renewal in the 1970s. We're looking for residents who lived here during that time who remember Ossining downtown and Main Street before the 1970s and during the urban renewal of that time and afterward. The goal is, as we look to reinvent downtown, is to look at where we've come from and what made our downtown a viable, exciting, vibrant place, how that changed, and how we can return to that time. We are asking residents who lived here to contact the village historian's office. That would be my home office number, 914-944-0021, or Dana White at optonline.net. If you have stories to share, if your parents lived here, if your grandparents lived here, if you have elderly relatives who remember that time, look through your attic, look through your boxes, look for old footage, look for old photographs, look for evidence that we can look at and explore for our project so that we can accumulate the collective history of our village so that everyone can see what we were and what we intend to become.
Thank you, Dana. Thank you very much. Is there a timeline on when you want to be hearing from people?
ASAP.
Okay, all right. Thank
I'm
you.
ready. I'm waiting for your call.
Is there anyone else? Move on to...
Oh, I do. I heard from Matt Gallardo, who's been organizing the Snow Angels, because it's Ash Wednesday. He's not able to join us this evening, but I just wanted to offer a reminder that if you are disabled or anyone you know is has a special need for snow removal, that the Snow Angels is a group of volunteers that have gotten together to help clear out and make sure that folks who are in special need of access to their property are able to get that help. And there's a number for Mr. Piazza at the Ossining High School. Many of our volunteers are Ossining High School students. The number is 914-525-0744. So if you or someone you know is disabled or in special need of assistance with snow removal, the Snow Angels might be able to help. 914-525-0744. And also, thank you very much.
Move on to Village Board resolutions. Is there anyone who would like to discuss any of the resolutions on this evening's agenda?
You may join us. Thank you. Mangano. Linda.
Letter E, Walden Road cement lining. I spoke with Andy Teese, wonderful Andy Teese. Oh, I'm sorry I mentioned the name. I'm not being sarcastic with that.
Okay.
Wonderful Andy Teese. I'm going to mention names. That's the way I am. And on Walden Road, it's going to be from M. Wilton to Maurice. Not all of Walden Road, because they did my street. They did Walden outside my back door within the last 5 years, right, Andy? Okay, letter F, complete streets. Will there be a special fund set up for this? And also, how much will this endeavor cost the taxpayers for the first year? But you don't have to answer? Okay. No, it's open and transparent government. I thought maybe I'd get an answer.
There's not an expense associated with it.
Okay. Letter G, upgrade access control system. Police court facility, $24,000, whatever. This is being charged to the police department equipment. I've had long discussions with Chief Burton over the years, and he finally split. I used to say to him, Joe, Chief, mention his name again. You put the carpeting down, and it's being charged to police department equipment. That means the officers who are carrying equipment. Carpeting is not equipment. So he spun it off, and he got another different line item, and it's 0432 for repair of buildings and grounds. I've checked this, and this access control has to do with like a key lock. You're charging it off to 0201, which is equipment for officers. This is not equipment for officers. This is maintenance and repair of buildings and grounds. And in my personal opinion, it should be line item 0432. It has nothing to do with personnel per se. It has to do with a building. Right, Tom? Think about it.
You make a good point.
Don't kiss my behind.
Huh?
Local Law 1-2015. Enforcement of New York State Uniform Code violations. Corporation Counsel Dick's son talked about this before, but let the public know that the Village Building Department took Plateau to court. Plateau whipped the village. Then the village appealed, and Plateau won again. This has caused a big to-do in New York State because the Plateau had to do with orders to remedy. So there's much more to this. Everything can't be seen with just rose-colored glasses. This was a very serious lawsuit. Judge Freed was the judge. He ruled for the defendant. Village lost. I was very happy because the defense attorney was stupendous. But it has to do with the village losing a lawsuit, and it's changing everything, orders to remedy, because there was no time limit, for the way I understand it, on orders to remedy. Get it done. But now there's a time limit. Richard, am I finished? Oh, I have 30 seconds more? I'd like to say two things. Has nothing to do with the agenda. Christopher Soy. Soy. Welcome to Ossining. Enjoy yourself, the rec department. I'm really glad you're here. I won't say the other half.
Okay, thank you.
And I'd like to praise the DPW workers for the snowstorms we've had. They have been stupendous. I mean, really good. And I didn't see any cars hit on Ellis or Walden.
Okay.
They were. You could see the black road even before it stopped snowing. So they did. Well, that's Paul Fraioli's crew. I said his name again. I'm sorry. This is me. Get used to it, Codman.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone else who would like to address any of the agenda items? Seeing anyone? Resolve the Board of Trustees of the Village of Ossining hereby approves the minutes of the February 4th, 2015 regular meeting as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
On the board? Madam Clerk.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolve the Board of Trustees of the Village of Ossining hereby approves the voucher detail report dated February 18th, 2015 in the amount of $481,158.95. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
On the board? Madam Clerk.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolved that upon the recommendation of the Fire Chief, Christian Acupina of Ossining, New York, was elected an active member of Hollow Hose No. 5 for interior firefighting at their regular meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
On the board? Madam Clerk.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolved that upon the recommendation of the Fire Chief, Edwin Castro, Ossining, New York, was removed from the active roles of the Ossining Hose Company No. 1. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
On the board? Madam
Those
Clerk.
in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolved that the village manager of the Village of Ossining is hereby authorized to execute an agreement with Charles A. Manganaro, Consulting Engineers of 7 West Cross Street, Hawthorne, New York, for professional engineering services related to construction management for the cleaning and cement mortar lining and/or the replacement of water mains on all or portions of Main, Hunter, James, Elizabeth, and Churchill Streets, Tompkins and Eastern Avenues, Secor and Walden Roads, and Barlow Lane and Prospect Place, in accordance with the proposal dated February the 11th, 2015, for a total fee not to exceed $146,000. Subject to the review and approval of said agreement by Corporation Counsel. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
On the board? Madam Clerk.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Whereas our village streets are an important part of our community, Our streets allow children to get to school, people to get to work or play, neighbors to gather, and visitors to come experience our community and patronize our businesses. And whereas the village recognizes that many of our village streets may be incomplete and that they are designed with only cars and freight transport vehicles in mind, which limits transportation choices and makes other modes inconvenient and unattractive, and whereas complete streets are defined as roadways that are designed to enable safe and convenient access for users of all ages and abilities, including children, seniors, and persons with disabilities, and all travel modes, including pedestrians, motorists, bicyclists, movers of commercial goods, and users of public transportation. And whereas complete streets has support and invite multiple users and modes of movement, including safe, active, and ample space for pedestrians, bicycles, and public transportation, play an important role in a livable community and are more conducive to public life and efficient movement and circulation of people than are streets designed primarily to accommodate only automobiles and trucks. And whereas promoting pedestrian, bicycle, and public transportation travel as an alternative to the individual automobile has the potential to reduce negative environmental impacts, promote more healthy living, and is less costly to the commuter, with many studies showing that when roads are better designed for bicycling, walking, and public transit use, more people will take advantage of these alternative modes. And whereas a full integration of all modes of travel in the design of streets and highways increase the capacity and efficiency of the road network that connect the users to desired destinations, reduce traffic congestion by improving mobility options, limit greenhouse gas emissions, and improve the general quality of life. And whereas the design and construction of streets and other facilities, the public right-of-ways in the village of Ossining, including reconstruction and retrofitting projects, should anticipate future demand for biking, walking, and other alternative transportation facilities. And the village of Ossining views all transportation-related improvements as opportunities to improve safety, access, and mobility for all travelers in the village, and recognizes bicycle, pedestrian, and other transit modes as integral elements of the transportation network. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Village of Ossining that the village hereby expresses a commitment to supporting all appropriate efforts towards creating and maintaining a network of complete streets that provide safe, comfortable, and convenient travel for all modes of travel to serve all categories of users, including pedestrians, bicyclists, persons with disabilities, motorists, emergency vehicles, movers of commercial goods, patrons and operators of public transportation, adults, seniors, youth, children, and families. And be it further resolved that the village hereby establishes and adopts a complete streets policy, which policy shall be considered and applied when deemed context appropriate by the village engineer and village planner or the respective designees in their review of any project involving planning, designing, funding, constructing, reconstructing, retrofitting, operating, and the maintaining of streets, roadways, and or public rights-of-way within the village of Ossining. And be it further resolved that the application of such complete street policy shall include consideration of best practices as may be evidenced by guidelines and criteria such as those established by the American Association of State Highway Transportation Officials, New York State Department of Transportation, United States Department of Transportation Federal Highway Administration Office of Safety, and the National Complete Streets Coalition, as well as those requirements included in the Americans with Disabilities Act, Village of Ossining Comprehensive Plan. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
On the board. Well, I would love to comment on this. We first had a discussion, a public discussion on October 8th of 2013 about the potential for implementing a policy of this nature here in the village. At that time, we invited Veronica Vanterpool to speak with the board at a work session, and we talked then and reiterated in recent meetings about what a valuable contribution to our community a complete streets policy can be, making it more welcoming for all users of our roadways, which is very helpful in connecting our residential communities with our business community. So it helps support businesses. It helps improve the public safety for not only drivers but also pedestrians, cyclists, senior citizens, and families with strollers. Anybody who might be a little bit intimidated right now to sometimes walk, even if you live very close to downtown. Sometimes it's a little intimidating to be a pedestrian in your own community. And so the idea here is not that we would incur a lot of expense by overhauling all of our roadways immediately. The idea instead is to provide guidance so that we can consider any time changes are being made, that we can take a look at some really thoughtful guidelines such as those that were suggested here in this policy. And of course, the implementation of it will really be what's going to make the difference. I reached out to Veronica Vanterpool via email to let her know that that we were going to be voting on this tonight and how very excited I was. And I also said to her if she had any suggestions on how to help us implement this effectively, and she suggested that she may be able to help us with, for example, a walking audit, like a walking tour. Ingrid Richards and I participated in a program like that that Tarrytown was doing, that she helped facilitate, which helped them identify some of the areas where they might want to make changes. And there is support out there for us to be able to perhaps take advantage of some technical support and how we can really do a great job at implementing this policy. And I'm thrilled that we're going to be voting on it tonight. So thank you very much to Lori Lee and to Valerie, who really did the legwork in putting this together on behalf of the village. Thanks so much.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolved that the village manager of the Village of Ossining is hereby authorized to execute an agreement with Lindstar Inc., 430 Lawrence Bell Drive, Suite 1, Buffalo, New York, for services involving an upgrade of the access control system at the Birdsall-Fagan Police Court Facility, 8688 Spring Street, in accordance with the proposal dated February 5, 2015, for a total fee not to exceed $24,815, subject to review and approval by said agreement by Corporation Counsel. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
On the board, Madam Clerk.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby calls for a public hearing
Did you tape?
take place.
Hey, hold on a minute. Got to change the tape.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby calls for a public hearing to take place at the Birdsall-Fagan Police Court Facility, 8688 Spring Street, in Ossining on March 4th, 2015, at 7:30 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter may be heard, to consider the matter of introductory local law number 1, 2015, entitled Revision to the Village Code relevant to the village's enforcement of the New York State Uniform Code violations, a local law revising Chapter 91, Article 1, of the Code of the Village of Ossining. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
On the board?
Oh, yeah. I'm thrilled about this. There was a loophole in the law that was allowing people to have blatant safety violations without us having the resources to be able to do anything about it. And through the efforts of our legal counsel and our representatives in Albany, that loophole is now closed, and our building inspectors and our fire department and our police will be much better able to insist that landlords make safe places for people to live, that businesses make their businesses safe places for people to shop, and I am very pleased with this, and I thank you very much.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolve the village manager is authorized to sign necessary agreements for electronic banking services and for courier service, subject to review and approval of the Corporation Council. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
On the board, Madam Clerk.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolve the 2015 general fund budget is modified to transfer appropriations from the contingency account for upgrade to the access control system at the Ossining Police Department under New York State contract as follows. decrease general fund appropriations, account number 001-1990-0400, contingency account in the amount of $24,815. Increase general fund appropriations, account number 001-3122-0201, account name police building equipment, in the amount of $24,815. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
On the board?
I just want to, I guess the question goes to Tom, Fire 5, where's the money coming from in regards to that equipment and buildings maintenance? Could you please clarify that for us, please? Yeah, no, so, okay. I just wanted to, for him to.
Okay, I thought the question might be, where's the source of the funding coming from? It's coming from the contingency account because this expense wasn't, it was discussed during the budget process, but we thought that we wouldn't have to put it in the budget this year, and then because of the small amount, we didn't want to issue a bond. So the recommendation was to take it from the contingency account, but based on an inquiry made here at the podium, the uniform system of account only requires that you only have to have one overall budgetary account for a police department. We've, over 2 different fiscal years, have added a 3121 budget line for the civilian employees. And then at the chief's request in a subsequent year, he asked if his building expenses could be taken out of the 3120 budget line and put in at the 3122 budget line just for a police department building. So I guess I'd have to agree that this is the type of expense that would be appropriate for the police building budget line and not the police department, which is mostly the police officers' salaries and expenses.
So there was a small modification made when Madam Clerk read the account number. It went into 3122 rather than what we had anticipated in the agenda.
I agree
which is
that that might be
correct?
a good place to account for the expense.
We need another motion to do that?
No, she read it that way. It's just that if you were to read the agenda, you wouldn't. It wouldn't.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Tom.
Thank you very much.
Good.
Terrific.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you all.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that completes your resolutions for this evening. Do we have any continuing business of the board?
No.
Do we have any new business of the board?
Why, yes, we do. I would like to propose a resolution to update the Village of Ossining Code of Ethics as follows. Add the following to Chapter 17-2 under definitions. The word recuse. When a member of the Village Board of Trustees, municipal officer, or employee of the Village of Ossining must recuse themselves from participating in deliberations or a vote on a particular subject, legislation, or issue due to having any direct or indirect interest in the subject, legislation, or issue as defined in Chapter 17-2 of the Village of Ossining Code of Ethics, the aforementioned member of the Village Board of Trustees, municipal officer, or employee will not participate in any way in any public or executive session discussion on the subject, legislation, or issue, will not publicly speak, write, comment upon, or take any action of any kind in support of or against this subject, legislation, or issue, and will abstain from any vote pertaining to such subject, legislation, or issue. Further, we'd like to add the following sentence to Chapter 13-3, Section E of the Standards of Conduct of the Code of Ethics. Having disclosed their interest in a piece of legislation, the member of the Board of Trustees, municipal officer, or employee will recuse themselves from any further involvement in any discussion, deliberation, or vote pertaining to such legislation as per Chapter 17-2 of the Village of Ossining Code of Ethics. I make that motion.
Proposing a change to the code? You're proposing a change to the code, so that needs to be done by local law?
Okay.
So we can put this on for a work session for discussion, and I'd be happy to draft a local law based upon the consensus of the board thereafter. But you can only change a local law by another local law. So a resolution, you could pass a resolution if it were a policy or a regulation.
I see. I thought it was a policy. I didn't realize the code was a local law.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then this will be...
Since it was enacted by local law and it exists in the code.
And for a work session to draft a law, I have a copy for you that you can work on.
That would be great.
No worries. Thank you.
I presume that any local law must be consistent with the U.S. Constitution.
Yes, I'd need to look at the language of it, and we'd need to talk about that in a public meeting. And yes, it would all have to be. But I'd be happy to take a good look at what you're proposing, and we could adapt the language to be sure that it meets all necessary standards, including the United States Constitution, of course.
Great.
You're welcome.
Do you have any other new business?
Yes.
Good.
Great, thank you. And this topic maybe have to wait for a work session, but I had a message today from an Ossining resident who wanted to ask if they can make a meeting, is it appropriate or allowed, or even open for discussion for us to see whether they could email a board member a question or a concern, and then us to read it during the public comment section, or if that's just a discussion that we should have at a later time.
It's an interesting question. I think it's something that we can discuss.
I think we were looking at making some changes to your rules and procedures, so I think you could probably clarify in the rules and procedures how you would like to accommodate those kinds of requests, and you could put it right in writing so everyone's aware of what the procedure was, how they would convey it, who would then, everything would funnel to the chair, and then the chair could, it would certainly be added to the discussion on the change to your rules and procedures. Absolutely, it does sound like a great suggestion.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other new business?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
Oh, wait.
Then we will move on to visitor. We'll move on to visitor recognition. Is there anyone who would like to address the board?
Good evening, board. My name is Matthew Galata. I'm with the Austin Rotary, and I just wanted to update you on the Snow Angels. So this talk right now is just for Snow Angels.
Okay, yes. So
I'm going to sit down.
So
come back up.
You have 2 minutes to talk about Snow Angels. If you have an additional announcement, we'll reset the clock for your next announcement. Just let our timekeeper know when you're beginning your next announcement. But don't feel that you need to take the entire 2 minutes for any given announcement.
I'm taking one big breath.
Thank you.
All right, so I just want to update the community and the board that it's been almost 2 storms already, and we serviced about 9 residents in a town and a village. And we have the mayor, you actually have emailed me regarding possible fire hydrants, and Norman Bolt actually emailed me, so we talked about it. So now, as of last snowstorm, when the Snow Angels go out, when they clean the driveways or walkways or whatever the resident needs to get out, they will be cleaning fire hydrants near that house. So it's a step in the right direction. I emailed the chief, Matt, to let him know about that. So everything looks pretty good. And the community outpour in regards to satisfaction has been really fantastic. So thank you for that. And we have one big another announcement with that is Bob's the chamber, the Ossining Chamber. Greater Chamber of Ossining has donated gloves and hats for the Snow Angels, and Sue Jimney is going to be embroidering Ossining Snow Angels on the hats, and now we have everything covered, and they'll be giving 20% discount at Bob's. You can buy them there, and we'll deliver them. The Rotary will deliver them to the high school, and Melrose is still doing you can donate a shovel, and 15% off if you mention Ossining Snow Angels will go to the price off, and the Rotary will pick it up and drop it off at the school. So far, so good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice job, Matt.
Is there anyone else who'd like to address the board?
Yes. Linda?
What? Check. I'm sorry. Hi, my name's Linda. Speaking rules of 2007. Trustee Codman publicly said speakers should be civil and respectful. I watched Trustee DeReo rip into Trustee Herrera, and DeReo was not anything like civil or respectful. We're human. We fly off the handle. You give people the opportunity to address the board. You cannot curb their speech. That's simple. Someone up there can compliment an employee, a speaker can say otherwise. And Tom Warren wears ugly ties. You know I'm teasing you. There are federal court decisions indicating if neutral or laudatory comments are permitted, then negative commentary cannot be prohibited. I'm trying to drum this home that you can't tell us what to say. And no matter what Corporation Counsel says, you're giving the people the right to speak. You're granted, it is a privilege. But the Constitution trumps it all if you allow us to speak. Careless or incompetence. I hand-delivered a subpoena to the building department to bring their file to court for a trial. Employees showed up for a trial, but failed to bring the file. I was told by him, I didn't open the envelope. Notice, people, I didn't mention a name, but they know who I'm talking about. Is that carelessness or incompetence? I think a little bit of both. I asked for a fire inspection. I used to get one every couple of years. Building inspector came over, and I asked the building department manager, I'd like to make arrangements for a fire inspection, because I could tell my tenants in my two-family home, you got to get rid of this extension cord. And they, yeah, right. When a building inspector comes over with my consent and flashes a badge, you better believe they better listen to them, to the inspector, or I'll evict them. More power. I want safety on my properties. I was told they don't do fire inspections anymore. I have to have a property maintenance inspection. I don't want a property maintenance inspection. You think I want to let these Gestapos in my home? They're killing the public. They're giving out summonses. Look, I believe in the laws. Oh, before I forget, and before I take all my time away, Richard. Carbon monoxide detectors. I had a fire chief over, and he looked at my entire house where I live on Ellis, my house, not my rental. And he told me exactly where the carbon monoxide detector had to be. At the top of the staircase to the basement. I think I heard you say they've got to be outside of a bedroom. I did not grasp this. I was told clearly by a fire chief, out where he put it, he hung it, in fact. I couldn't go on the ladder. I was told only one in my house. Has the law changed since then? I will say when the law changed that you needed a smoke alarm outside the bedroom, I went and bought up everything in Home Depot and I put them all over the bedrooms. Safety is my main concern. How many carbon monoxide detectors do I need? May I ask? I'm sorry.
You know what? This is
how many carbon detectors do I need?
This is for the greater good of the community. Any comments for relevance? So I think what Inspector Scirocco had suggested earlier is that if you want somebody to walk you through what the code is at this time, to call the building department during the day and they can walk through the code with you for your property.
I read the laws. Has the law changed? The fire chief said one carbon monoxide detector in my home. Do I need more than one in my home?
I think what was said is outside the whatever story, outside the bedrooms, and then
the boilers in the basement is right at the top of the staircase. Right, I know that.
Top of
the okay.
Inside the bedroom.
So if I have 3 bedrooms on my second floor, I need 3 carbon monoxide.
That means
railroad, I could put one in the middle. Was this law recently changed? Because I follow these laws. I never heard of a second. This is very important to me. I know you realize
it that. Well, it's important. It's an important issue for the community. So getting some clarity is valuable. Wherever there's, why don't you use Mary Ann's mic?
Because I followed the codes and the fire inspector was there, and I really would like the building department to come to my home. I don't want your property maintenance inspection. I want fire inspection.
Mangano.
Linda.
Ms. Mangano, what I pointed out to you.
Linda.
Ms. Mangano, what I pointed out to you.
You know, I don't want an answer from you. I told you my name is Linda, and that's it. From now on,
You're
when
a
I-
two-family home. Fire inspection is not required. Two-family home. It's called a property maintenance. It's the same type of inspection. Anything over two-family, that's all I told you. I did not tell you that we would not come out there.
Yes,
This
you did.
false information
Yes,
has
you
to
did.
stop.
Yes, you
Mangano.
did. Don't tell me
Your
false information.
has to stop.
Okay.
Don't tell
Thank
me
you very
false-
much.
You are incompetent at $100,000 a year. You started. when
Linda,
I say my
enough.
name is Linda,
Please
my
sit
name is
down.
Linda.
Please sit down. Thank you. Are there any other visitors who would like to be recognized? You have something else to say, Matt? All right.
Hello, good evening again. It's Matthew Gillard from Ossining Rotary. We just wanted to announce to everybody again, Friday night is Ossining Family Night for the Westchester Knicks. We have over 110 residents going. Great support. Thank you to the mayor for supporting it and Radiara for sharing it and liking it. Same with Omar. Have tickets, and I have tickets if anybody would like some. There's a lot of businesses in town. This is made possible through the Ossining Recreation Department, who have been outstanding. Their staff, the people at the front desk, and the new supervisor. I don't know if I could say his name, but you're over there, and it's been a pleasure. And it's really for all the families coming up and saying there's something to do on winter break and they don't have that much money. We're paying for this transportation and all the children. So it's all dedicated to Ossining Night family, fan of the game. There's going to be fan tunnels. There's giveaways. There's starting 5 lineups. A lot of activities for the children, and the businesses are important too. So I'm going to put it on Facebook which businesses they are, but like anything, times are rough, and if the businesses are going to donate, I would hope our community reciprocates and says hello at least, and walks in and says thank you for allowing the children of Ossining go to Ossining Family Night for free. And I just want to say it was a group effort with the Elks. And also the Ossining Rotary, of course. But those 3 organizations have really stepped up. And with all the other volunteers and community members, this is, one person couldn't do this. And the team that I have and I'm working with is phenomenal. And I wish in the future things can go this smoothly. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Matt.
Second.
On the board, Madam Clerk.
Aye.
Thank you very much for joining us for this evening's legislative session. Please join us again next Wednesday, February 25th, when we will be at the Village Hall, 16 Croton Avenue, at 7:30. Thank you very much.